Aung San Suu Kyi leads Myanmar in a power-sharing agreement with the military. So the military chief has tremendous, some say total, control over the country.
And according to Time, Min Aung Hlaing calls the shots when it comes to cracking down on the Rohingya, and he basically is answerable to no one. Min Aung Hlaing, who is 61, became commander-in-chief in 2011. In Myanmar, the head of the military gets to appoint 1/4 of all parliamentary seats.
All right, let's dig deeper now on this general and the Pope's visit to Myanmar. Tom Andrews is a human rights consultant, a former United States congressman, and former president of the group United to End Genocide. So let's start with what the general told the Pope, that there is no religious discrimination in Myanmar. Your thoughts?
Well, that is obviously bizarre. It's outrageous. And it's unfortunately very typical of what you hear from the government. There was a commission that was established internally to investigate the great brutality, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, over 620,000 Rohingya men, women, and children being forced from Myanmar into Bangladesh. And the report came back and said, nothing to see here, folks. There's no problem. All of this is grossly exaggerated. So there's a major problem that we're facing in Myanmar. We don't even know the full dimensions of this problem. We don't know how many people have been killed in this assault on the Rohingya population. But what you get from the government consistently are these bizarre, outrageous denials. And it's incumbent upon those of us in the international community to exert as much international pressure as possible, because internal pressure is just so very, very difficult under these circumstances.
The term Rohingya itself, too, I mean, many in the Myanmar government won't even utter the word Rohingya because that ethnic group isn't really supposed to exist. At least in their minds, it doesn't exist. And the question has been, will the Pope use the term Rohingya? We know President Obama in the past has with the previous president, but the Pope has been advised by the Catholic Church not to use the term Rohingya.
Well, let's face it, what we're seeing here is the systematic assault on a people, the denial of their very existence. Clearly, as the United Nations has said, this is a textbook case of ethnic cleansing. The U.S. government has also called it that. That's exactly what it is. And so one of the things that you do if you want to eliminate a people is you force them out militarily. You also deny their very existence. And you deny the basic fundamental human right to self-identification. So all of these, and then you deny that there's any problem going on whatsoever. So denial of the existence of this people, ethnic cleansing at the very least, genocide internally, which is what many are facing who are left in Myanmar, and then the systematic denial of their very existence. These are all the building blocks of genocide and ethnic cleansing.
The Pope is going to be meeting with Aung San Suu Kyi. Speak to her role in this. I mean, the reality is, she's not in power, is she? The general is in power. It's a power-sharing agreement. But I mean, how do you view this state of democracy? If she speaks up, she's finished, right?
Well, you got to understand that the military has, for years and years and years, systematically demonized and used the fear card against any ethnic minority that they feel are threatening. And certainly the Rohingya ethnic minority is certainly one that they have particularly demonized. So internally, the people of Myanmar, again, the fear card, anxiety, anger, those are emotions that are all being played by the military, and they've been using that for quite some time. So she, number one, has very limited power in the country. Most of us think of the military being answerable to a government, a civilian-run government. In Myanmar, it's exactly the opposite. The military controls, the generals control the military, the police, the border, major economic conglomerates. They have enormous power. They are answerable only to themselves. So she is between the proverbial rock and hard place, and she has very, very little power given the Constitution. And of course, the generals made sure that they are guaranteed to keep hold of that Constitution because they have veto power over any parliamentary move to change the Constitution.
Yeah, I mean, despite the criticism, we do have to admit that Aung San Suu Kyi is in a very difficult position because she does risk a lot by speaking up against the military. I want to ask you about this repatriation deal because last week Myanmar and Bangladesh signed this agreement to return the displaced Rohingya in Bangladesh. back to Rakhine State in Myanmar. Very few details were released, but we can show you some of that. First off, it's going to happen over the next 2 months. They have to show proof of residency in Myanmar. The final decision is up to Myanmar in disputes. All possible measures to avoid temporary places will happen. I mean, there's got to be some serious obstacles in the way for any repatriation to happen, right? I mean, even just starting with proof of residency. How will these refugees even be able to show proof of residency when they fled their homes in a frenzy?
Well, no, exactly right. They were literally running for their lives. The last thing they're going to be thinking about is whether or not they have proof of residency. They've been stripped of their citizenship by the military government. They have virtually no power whatsoever under the best of circumstances. And here they are, 620,000 of them over in Bangladesh having run for their lives. There's a real serious problem here. Number one, they continue to be, many Rohingya continue to escape from Myanmar. The violence has not stopped. The exodus into Bangladesh continues. So that's number one. Number two, there's an old playbook that's being run here, and that is in 2012 in Myanmar, central Myanmar, there was a lot of violence, a lot of homes and villages were destroyed, and the government set up what it claimed to be temporary camps for internally displaced people. That was 2012. Those camps are horrific. I've been there. They exist today. The conditions are just horrible. They're called by many as concentration camps. I've walked them. The conditions are horrific. So there's a real danger. Number one, of those coming back into Myanmar, facing some very severe security issues, given the fact that many are continuing to run for their lives, and then finding themselves stuck in concentration camps run by the military could be once again another horror that could be awaiting them if this is not done very, very carefully.
Tom Andrews, human rights consultant, former United States Congressman, thanks so much. Appreciate your time.